As soon as they were pulling up to the house, Karen yelled that she could see John in the yard, even though it was basically pitch black outside. Karen jumped out of the car and she ran over to John, who was lifeless and covered in snow. He was clearly all kinds of beat up and then seemingly froze to death on top of it. The cause of death, however, is listed as undetermined, and this is when a full investigation began. State Police Trooper Michael Proctor, who was in charge of the investigation, came and asked Karen questions, which she answered willingly. Karen was apparently inconsolable. It is said that she laid on her parents' couch for 3 days straight after what happened, and she also found herself a lawyer, David Yannetti. When she went back to her own home, Karen ended up being arrested for manslaughter. Now, law enforcement impounded Karen's car. The Canton police found a broken drinking glass and multiple red splatters in the snow near John's body. They also found a piece of plastic, 2 red pieces, and 1 clear in the same area. This led investigators to believe that in a state, Karen ended up backing up and struck John and then drove off. They say that those pieces were consistent with Karen's broken taillight. And get this, y'all, in the charging documents were witness statements from Jennifer and Carrie. These women that were helping her do CPR and all of that, they were on the witness statements that got her arrested. They all met up at Jennifer's home to go and look for John. Karen and John actually decided to go to a place called Waterfall Bar and Grill on Washington Street in Canton. This is when Karen and John ended up linking up with some of John's friends. Brian, the friend, was not ready for the night to end. He ended up inviting everyone to his home to celebrate his son's birthday. Now, according to Karen, John wanted to go to Brian's house, but Karen felt too buzzed and she was too tired. So allegedly, Karen ended up driving John to Brian's, and supposedly she dropped him off there. Okay, so she goes home. Karen says that she wanted to call Jennifer, who was Brian's sister-in-law, and she was with them that night at the bar, but she didn't have her phone number. So Karen says that she decided to go upstairs to wake up John's niece, who did have Jennifer's phone number. Jennifer said in her witness statement that Karen had told her that she had last seen John at the bar that night before, and that her and John had gotten to a fight, and also that she didn't remember dropping him off at the house at 34 Fairview. Okay? Now, according to Carrie's statement, Carrie said that Karen was so that night that she told Carrie in the morning that she didn't remember anything from the night before, but that she did wonder if John had been run over by a snowplow. Like, that's weird, okay? Carrie also said that Karen still seemed that morning when she was out looking for John. And Carrie also added that before her, Karen and Jennifer found John, that Karen showed them a cracked right taillight, saying that she had no idea how it happened the night before. This is where things get crazy, okay? Because holy moly. Right after Karen's arraignment, as Karen's lawyer was driving home, he returned a call to someone who ended up calling in a tip to his office. A man answered the phone and told Karen's lawyer that Karen was completely innocent. He said that John was beaten up by Brian Albert, the homeowner, the other Boston police officer, okay? He said that Brian and his nephew were trained MMA fighters, okay? This person said that the two of them broke John's nose, and when John didn't come back to consciousness, Brian and a federal agent that was also at the house that night dumped John's body on the front lawn. The federal agent that was at the house that night is a man named Brian Higgins, who is a special agent with the ATF. This Brian Higgins had a previous romantic relationship with Karen before, okay? We also know that Brian Higgins destroyed a cell phone after John's death. That's weird. Okay, why? After all of this and the investigation and being a professional, I don't know. Either way, Karen's lawyer was intrigued by this tip and all of this information. He started to wonder if Karen was being framed. Because of this, Karen's lawyer hired a private investigator. And this is when things get, I'm telling you guys, buckle up, y'all, because we're going on a ride, okay? The private investigator didn't learn a whole lot other than the fact that someone confirmed Brian's nephew, a 16-year-old boy named Colin, was indeed at the house the night that John passed away. Now, when Karen's lawyer told her what was going on, Karen started remembering things. John and Colin were never on good terms with each other. When Karen's attorney showed her pictures of John's injuries, Karen immediately became suspicious of the injuries on John's arm. In her opinion, she said that these injuries looked like they could have been from like an animal or from a dog. Then she remembered that Brian Albert, who was the homeowner, had a German Shepherd at the time named Chloe that they have since rehomed. At this point, Karen she was 100% convinced that the beef with Colin started a fight that night. The German Shepherd, Chloe, got involved and caused the arm injuries, and after the fight was over, they tossed John out into the yard to just die. And not only that, but Karen was now convinced that Michael Proctor, the lead investigator, was pulling strings behind the scenes. Karen found out that Michael knew the Albert family. Karen started to think to herself, like, wouldn't that be a conflict of interest to the investigation? Now, the prosecutors, on the other hand, were convinced that Karen was indeed the killer. Okay, that's it. They even got a grand jury involved, and it was concluded that there was indeed enough evidence to charge Karen with second-degree murder, which meant that it was intentional. Then we fast forward to June 9th, and this is when Karen was rearrested for the new charge. In body cam footage from the jail, Karen can be heard asking the officer that's booking her if he's in on the joke too.
I mean, we're all in on the same joke, right?
However, Karen was able to make bond, and this time she had a $100,000 bond. With this new charge, however, Karen is facing a life sentence, and it was becoming very serious according to Karen, so she decided to get a famous defense lawyer, Alan Jackson. Now, Alan is known for defending Harvey Weinstein and Kevin Spacey. He too did not believe that John's injuries looked like he had been just hit by a car. And not only that, but he also found out that according to the lead investigator's original affidavit, he said that he got to Karen's parents' house at 4:30 p.m. and towed Karen's car at 5:30 p.m. But Karen's parents' security camera footage actually showed that those times were absolutely wrong. They showed that Karen's car was towed closer to 4:12 p.m. This was over an hour difference. And Karen and her new lawyers, which were the original ones, the one that actually started thinking it was suspicious and hired the private investigator, along with her new lawyers, now believe that this time discrepancy would have given the lead investigator plenty of time alone with her new car to break the taillight even more and plant pieces of it at the home of 34 Fairview before the team that searched the area found them after 5:45 p.m. Now, can you believe that? Then this new attorney says that he found out that Jennifer allegedly made an incriminating Google search on her phone. Jennifer had turned her phone over to the prosecution voluntarily for forensic download. The download allegedly shows that at 2:27 a.m., the night of John's death, Jennifer Googled house long to die in the cold. So the actual search says house, but it seems like the person was trying to Google how long to die in the cold. Pretty freaking weird, right? That was just hours before Karen and Carrie found John in the yard. The same search was allegedly made again at 6:23 a.m. and then again at 6:24 a.m. Yeah, This new attorney also alleges that in security camera footage from John's house, Karen can clearly be seen accidentally backing into John's parked SUV in the driveway the morning of as she's on her way out to Jennifer's house, and he claims that that is where the rear damage on Karen's car came from. And it's crazy when you guys see that, because you can clearly see her back up into the SUV and the SUV move because she hit it. I mean, obviously not super hard, which is why there wasn't a ton of damage to her car. However, the prosecution swears that she didn't hit it and she only came close to hitting it. Now, on April 12th of this year, Karen's lawyer submitted his 91-page affidavit that laid out the defense's theory of what that they believe happened that night. They allege that chick Jennifer planted the idea of running John over in Karen's mind. Like we've already talked about, that John was actually beaten by the people in the house that night, and they also believe that they had planted the pieces of her taillight at the scene of the crime. And when this came out, this is when the media went wild. A blogger that goes by the name online Turtle Boy has been posting a lot about this. Aiden's coverage continued to grow and grow and grow, but it kind of grew to be controversial at the same time. Some would even say it grew to be hateful. He has since been arrested and indicted on more than 15 felony charges involving witness intimidation and conspiracy. He ended up serving 60 days in jail for violating a protective order, but now he's free on his own, like, recognizance. Now, while Aiden's reportings have been called controversial, a lot of people have said that regardless, he has been steadfast in his reporting of Karen's case, and there's no way that this case would have gotten the attention that it has gotten without him. So you've got this, this teeter of opinions. More recently, the prosecution has been asking the court to give them permission to access Karen's phone to pull all of the data from it. They haven't gotten permission though, because it contains privileged communication between Karen and her lawyers. And I want to say right now that that's what ended up happening with Johnny Depp. Okay, so Johnny Depp turned over 10 years of his cell phone text messages. Amber Heard turned over none. It's also important to keep in mind that we don't know all of the evidence that the state has yet. Okay, so we don't know what all they have. We just know what was on the affidavit. Something else that I think is pretty darn interesting is that the U.S. Attorney's Office is also investigating this case to see if there's any actual law enforcement cover-up going on. Like, if this is going on, y'all better watch y'all's backs, because there's more people getting involved now. Not to mention, Karen had changed her story a few times, okay? So Karen didn't just have the straight story the whole entire time. Now, it has also come out that the state police are investigating the lead investigator, Michael Proctor. They say that they're investigating a potential violation, but Michael remains on full duty the whole time. So allegedly he's under investigation, but he's still working on this case. Now, Karen's trial is supposed to start with jury selection on April 16th. However, by the time you guys watch this, it will be past the 16th. So hopefully the jury is being selected. And when I tell y'all that I'm going to be watching this, I'm going to be watching this. Is this not crazy? I'll tell y'all right now, I don't know what to think. I don't know what to think. But an unbiased jury cannot convict a person if they don't believe something without a reasonable doubt. I say an unbiased jury. Okay? Thank y'all for watching this video, and I will see y'all in the next one. Love you guys. Bye.